Hello, and welcome to the channel. My name's Cedar, and today we continue on with Timberborn. Last time on the channel, we were looking into ways to deal with the bad water, figure out how to contain and control the actual water that we were hoping to use for running our beavers' power sources and their own water sources and farming and things like that. For the end of the video, we managed to quarter off the area that the bad water comes from, and I promised that by the start of this video we would see the end result of that. It actually took longer than I kind of expected for that to actually get built, and there are a few slight moderations I had to make, or alterations I had to make, in order to accommodate what we were going for, because I kind of managed to overflow some things. I'll explain some of the changes that we made and show you the end result once we get loaded in. Now, I don't remember what cycle and day we ended on, but I'm pretty sure maybe about a week or so passed. But this is the end result. You can see here I had to build up around this hole that leads into this bad water area because it actually started overflowing and coming down here and kind of ruining the ground over here. But we managed to kind of quarter it off, and now it's flowing off the edge of the map, and this is as bad as it's ever going to get. So whenever we want bad water stuff, we can come up here ourselves and interact with it directly. We now have this long empty channel and this pool of bad water that's over here that I think we can meaningfully flood with the water that's over here. If I go ahead and close some of these, let's go ahead and set these to closed. Water should start backing up into here and coming out this way. And if we let that happen for long enough, the water should fill up in here and basically just flow through the area. Now, we can just close the water off basically completely, I guess, because everything else is sort of being run with water already. I just want to make sure that this doesn't dry out right away. It might be okay. If it's not okay, then we'll route more water through. But anyway, if we let this area flood for long enough, we should be able to just kind of combine all of the water sources and have water flowing in all directions. It'd be very nice if this one water source could supply the entire map with water. I think ideally I would build up something in here a bit taller, just so we can make sure water goes in all directions kind of constantly. For example, if we lower this to 1.65 and let some water flow through this way, we should be able to have water going in all directions and covering like the entire map. See that the new normal water is kind of clearing out the old contaminated water. And if we manage to build this up a little bit, once this kind of flows through, we can actually flood this section with good water, which is, I think, our end goal, really. Now we can see the effects of that if I go through and automatically close all of these, which I guess is the case right now. They're all closed. So all of the water from here is coming out through this way. Problem is that it's kind of running right off the map down here, because this is an exit. we'll see that the contamination is kind of being contained or being flushed out. And eventually I think it will all go away. So with that in mind, we can try to get over here, or through here even, and see if we can't corral the water so that only the good water gets retained and gets pushed back up through this area here. Because we're never ever going to get any more bad water coming from this direction. It would be cool if we could, you know, make this whole area fertile without having to manually move water with those hand pumps. Now, I'm not convinced that we can get this water to supply the entire map with water, just because you would need a whole bunch of water to get everywhere. Water, water, water. Maybe once we get dynamite to spawn, we could do that, because I think we could drop the water right into here from up top and have a more direct flow that we don't have to staunch and redirect. I think predominantly all we really need to do is maybe block off this exit so that the water can't leave the level. And if we just kind of wall off this whole area, we could fill at least to this height up with water permanently. And that would apply to on this side as well. And all the way up this river. So I'll go ahead and with our landscaping, just mark off that I eventually want to put levees all through here. Maybe I should put floodgates. That way if we need to drain it for any reason, we can. I'll just take my demolishing tool, hold shift to skip the dialog box, and do that. And we'll just place triple floodgates through the middle, and then some levees on the sides, I suppose, to the same height. Now we're going to need to get across this gap as well, which I guess we can do if we just put an extra levee down and put some stairs down. If we kind of just do that, we should be able to put stairs down. No, I could just put platforms down. Those are probably a little less... Are those less costly than levees? 6 planks versus 12 logs. I guess I'd rather spend the logs, personally. Well, once we're able to get over this way, we should be able to just... Actually, I think we can just path all the way here. Yeah, from over here. Check this out. Now, on the topic of needing to make platforms, we are going to have to make a few platforms to get across this gap here. But once we can get to here, we can get all the way over there. So I'll just make a straight path of platforms here. 7 platforms, that's going to be 42 planks. While I was letting the game run, in order to build that other platform, we just racked up some resources. So we have hundreds of gears, a couple hundred metal blocks, and all kinds of things. Also, we have 14,000 science points, which can go a very long way. And actually means we can start, with everything that we have, we can start maybe considering zip lines, which is very exciting. Anyway, we'll keep this path going. Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't fast forwarding. Keep this path going over here. Our beavers are going to catch up with us sooner than later. And there's no rhyme or reason to how I'm doing this zigzag here, but this should be all we need to do. And if we had any reason to get up along this side of the map, we could. You see the warnings in the bottom left? The buildings that are flooded are these buildings. I managed to let this get filled during... It was a bad tide or something. Also, I took away the blockade that was at the bottom of here. And as you can see, that seems like it's a bit of a problem. As this water is too easily emptying out. I think we've come full circle and it would be best for me to just put dams here. To retain only up to a certain amount of water at all times. I'll just go ahead for now and lower the floodgates and just try to drain out some of the water that's down here. So we'll set these to auto. Basically how these are going to work is these are all going to close if the water goes above their water level. Basically just means that unless the water fills all the way up to 3.0, these will remain open. Now, we can kind of force that to happen if I set my floodgates to close at 3.0. And maybe we can set the level in the top one to just be to close at 285. Actually, I should set it to close at 265 because that's what all these were set to. And then that way I don't actually have to manipulate everything and flood all my buildings, which is probably going to happen. Because if I manipulate the water, it tends to flood everything. But if we do that, and we have the dams being built here, this should retain the water that's over here. And everything else should basically route this way, unless this water starts to evaporate past 265. Which we've deemed to be our magic number, because it matches kind of the height that dams respect. But here's what everything looks like with the water turned on. And if our beavers start coming over this way and blocking all this off, we'll start to see it back up. So as always, I'm going to mark the priorities of these things to be extremely high. And then that way everything will get built. I'd say first, but I'm pretty sure that we don't really have that much else being built. After all of this, now that we have kind of like a water utopia, I think what we can start doing is improving our movement via the zip lines. And we can start trying to get into more advanced building, such as producing robot beavers. We now have 107 actual beavers, which is a lot of beavers. Impressively, no one is in need of a job, and no one is in... Oh, well, I said that right as people became in need of a job. That's because buildings are shutting down. But yeah, for the most part, no one is unemployed. And we still have a lot of stations that are powered off or inaccessible, so we could even use more beaver power in general. So, but I think my first order of business is seeing what this looks like once it's filled up. We'll have an entire new water source back here that will open up some more farming land and things back here. Not that we really need any more farmland, I don't think. The only other thing we can maybe grow and maintain is sunflower seeds. But then I also want to worry about well-being and boosting our beavers' well-being. You'll see that we have a decent spread with the food. Surprisingly, a higher number of beavers than I thought are eating sunflower seeds. But grilled spatterdock seem to be lacking, and I think one way around that would be to actually fill this area with our aquatic foods, because this is all one height of water, just kind of like this area is, but we kind of filled this with pathways and you know, power and stuff. But over here, if we actually get water through this area, we should be able to plant and maintain aquatic plants right up in here in this little nook. Now the water's not going to be flowing, so Traditionally on this map, with the way the badwater flows through here, it would be kind of easy just to use that for a power source. But for our cases, we're going to have to instead maybe just use it for farming, aquatic farming. And maybe we can do actual farming up here too if we cared to. So under the food menu, I'll make another aquatic farmhouse. And we want to see if we can't get it to specifically affect this nook in here. And I think I'll have to do the same thing where I put some stairs down. Maybe I'll make a little path here. Oops. So the range on this doesn't seem to go all that far, unfortunately. Maybe if I adjust this a little bit, I can get it more centered. I kind of wish I could see the effects. Maybe if I put a bunch of staircases down just throughout this whole area, we could see along which we get the most coverage. So if we do that, go to the food menu and put down an aquatic farmhouse, we can try to see what placement allows for the best coverage. Now it might just be that we need multiple farmhouses. Like I need one here, and then I'll need one where this doesn't cover, which I didn't really pay attention to the coverage. So starting right here, I'll mark it with a staircase, I guess. Even though I kind of lost sight of it. Right there. We'll pause it so that they don't actually come and construct it. Yeah, I saw you. I saw you coming, little beavers. And then, yeah, we got this entire other area over here. So I place... It'll probably be somewhere over here. Place some platforms down just to kind of fill in where the building might go. If in the food menu, we bring out our aquatic farmhouse. We basically want to try to cover... Oh, right up to that staircase. Look at that. In the surrounding area. Oh, and I forgot to put stairs where they might be able to work. Underneath all these platforms. We go in the food menu. We bust out the aquatic farmhouse. Basically want to cover the entire area. Which, of course, with the staircases here, we can't really see how effective it would be, but it's looking like if we put it maybe right here, cover the whole area. So if we just scrap this and put platform down, then we go back to aquatic farmhouse. It reaches all the way up the stairs, and the only reason it doesn't go any further south is because of all the stairs and stuff that we have being built here. Oh, actually, it's because the stairs actually block where they would need to go. So instead, we'll have to build a platform here and put stairs on either side. And we'll see again, this covers this entire area. So perfect. Between the two, we should be able to have 2 aquatic farmhouses that cover everything that we need. I will connect this farmhouse to the other side with a path. Now, of course, this path would be best served it would be best served to have the path on the actual land, because that way we can actually plant more stuff in the water. But we have to have a way over to the building to build it and to service it. So I'll have one path that leads all the way this way. And maybe if I set this back a little bit. Just hope this doesn't affect how it plants too much. Oh, it makes it ever so slightly shorter. But I think we get coverage from this building anyway. So this should be perfectly fine. We'll just put a path on the land leading to this building. And then same thing for this building. We'll want to basically make the path cover as much ground as possible so we're not wasting valuable underwater space with pathways and such. So we'll just go ahead and... Actually, you know what? We can just path across to this side of things. We do something like this. We can put the paths like this. And then that way everything is above water. Connect this path, and then I'll destroy the path that's under the water. Look like anyone's using it anyway. And then that way, they can prioritize spatter dock. We'll just go ahead and put that plant crops here and grab spatter dock. Let me just see this span again from all the way right next to these stairs. Right here and over. And that should highlight the entire area that this covers, at least on this level. Just like that. Looks like I actually caught some extra areas that don't really serve us, so I will mark those to be removed. And with over here. I'll be careful with where I draw my line though, I don't want to undo some trees. Back to plant crops and double check my work. And yeah, it looks like we covered the entire area that spatter docks can grow. We'll do the same thing over here for cattails. This basically just covers the entire area here. I'm not sure if these contaminated tiles are going to prove to be a problem or not. Guess we'll find out in practice. Oh, and I think I just overwrote 2 of the spatter docks. 3 of them. There we go. Kind of a shared resource, but I think spatter docks are what we need primarily. We had a pretty good thing going over here with cattails, but I just managed to flood this a little bit too much, so maybe we'll replace this with something else. Maybe it'd be more beneficial to have this be, you know, a series of lidos or something similar. Oh no, a bad tide. So we should actually be able to see this at work. What this should do is it should route the bad water this way exclusively. Because I have these set to close if the contamination is above 0 behind them. And then all of this bad water is going to be flooding out this way. Well, actually, now that I'm saying that, we should probably make these be... Oh, these are floodgates. I see. Changing my mind, maybe we should make these be sluices so that they can detect that the water is bad and open up. Or I can just open them myself, I guess, at the start of bad tides. Now, of course, our beavers are going to start getting into this water and building these things, which means they're going to start feeling unwell. We do have antidotes made, 242 of them, so any of our beavers that start to feel unwell will just go and drink the antidote and feel better. I could stop them from doing the work over this series of days, but frankly, I just want these things to be built, so the evil beaver capitalist in me will allow them to get sick. So that's that about done. Of course, where we're making the foods is across the water, so we're gonna want to make some storage area for the spatter docks and cattails, and we're gonna set them to, I'm gonna set them to, cover other, areas of food. So we'll just set this one to spatter dock. We'll set this one to cattail roots. And we'll set each one to supply other warehouses. And those other warehouses will be the ones near our cooking empire over here. If I hit tab, we can see what's holding what. And we'll see that our cattail roots are over here. So we'll say that this will obtain goods from other warehouses, and this will obtain goods from other warehouses. And that way we can have our haulers bring everything across the map to these different buildings and supply them that way. Looks like our building over here is almost entirely set. I guess the last thing we're doing is some stairs up here, but not really that crucial, so I think we'll just shut the stairs off for now. The main job is done. And now at the end of this 3-day period of badwater, we can close that off. And everything that we have in this area will be good water, basically. There is a mine down there. I did see that you have the ability to attach this to these ruins and mine them for, I don't know if it's infinite metal, but also it's interesting to see that this says that it takes treated planks and turns them into scrap metal. That's an interesting trade. Oh yeah, infinite underground depth. Isn't that something? Well, with all these science points that we have, we can see what it is that we are able to make. Just go through each of the menus and see what's available. So in here we can have platforms that are 2 or 3 tiles high. We can get zip line stations and pylons to zip around the map. This might be a fun system to work on. We can get suspension bridges all the way up to gaps that are 6 tiles wide. Same with overhangs, which kind of act like mini staircases, or require metal to make. And also 3x3 or 4x4 suspended platforms to build on. That's it in the way of paths and structures. For the water management, we can have double floodgates, which are just too high. We have single and triples unlocked so far. Impermeable floor, a floor panel that stops water from leaking through it. So actually, that would have been nice over here. I think it mostly prevents water from seeping over it. Guess I'm not too sure. Or maybe it prevents water from the outside from getting into a hole, so maybe I could put these around here and it would prevent this from filling up. Not entirely sure. I guess we'll see if we ever unlock it. Contamination barrier stops soil contamination from spreading beneath it. So this is something we can maybe spread like around here. If our soil down here is being affected, we can put this in here and prevent the contamination from spreading. And then this is what I'm most excited about for manipulating the terrain. Explosive factories and tunnels. Also something called a dirt excavator, a heavy-duty mining rig for collecting dirt. It will continue to produce dirt even after reaching the bedrock. This is a big old thing. Hooray, the bad tide is over. Which means that now we'll watch as our blue water comes and washes away all of the bad water. And then once that's done, we can close this off and see if we can't fill up this whole gap with good water. Now, the one thing I should consider doing is setting up, I don't know, would it be dams? Maybe it would be dams. Something to keep this water in here once everything is said and done. I think I'll work on that next, actually. We'll go ahead and levee off this section here. Kind of funnel everything with levees here. And then we'll just put dams on top. Like so. That way when the water comes this way, it should fall through there. And we'll do the same thing in this little nook here. We'll just set up some levees that wrap around here. And then are dammed off. I think maybe the ones against the wall should be levees. And then some dams. I think we'll probably get the warning that some of these can't be reached, although I'm not seeing that right now. I'm not seeing that with any of these. Oh, yep, I'm seeing that with the corner pieces of these. Or maybe I'm not. Okay. If we look now, the naked eye, this all looks like clean water. So we'll start to see what happens if we raise the floodgate. We'll raise it to 2 to start. See what kind of effect it has. The water should continue to fill in and spread everywhere on this side. Actually, maybe I'll go all the way and just completely close it off at 3. We'll watch the water level rise. I'm not sure why I paused these stairs. Guess I didn't actually mean to do that. Seen a lot of stuff over here. Building lacks power. I guess because the water's not flowing very freely anymore, because we're kind of focusing our efforts into filling this up. Once this gets filled, we can adjust the, and I might have to do that here soon. We can adjust our how much water's coming through our sluices over here, because I think we actually want the water to come through a little bit more than it is. So we'll say if the downstream depth is above, say 2.5. And then this should allow the water to still come through here, because we need it to flow through here to power these. If there's no water movement, then everything's going to dry out and nothing is going to come through here. So I guess I should lower some of these as well. So this is about halfway down a block. We'll lower these to 2.0, I guess. We'll see what the effect is. The water is split or managed. Of course, there's a lot of water coming all at once. So hopefully I don't flood everything with this, but basically just want to find a balance where water's flowing across all 3 channels here. Same thing, we'll set this down to 2.0. And yeah, I think I need to put the sluices maybe up a level or something similar, or maybe just put dams here or something so that some of the water actually gets stuck and continues to go this way. Or heck, maybe I could just split it in half and say half the water goes this way, half the water comes down. Or something in the middle. But everything coming straight out here seems to be a bit of a misplay. I probably should have put the sluices at the top. and said that if the water is above or below a certain level to affect where it goes. I think I basically want the water to pool up here and have only some of it come this way and a majority of it come out this way. So with that in mind, maybe I should just cap off the top 2 levels of this and replace them with sluices. I really don't know the best way to use them. And maybe we can leave that last row. And then over here, we'll set these to be sluices facing this way. Oh yeah, I guess the corners could have remained being levees, but that's okay. That'll help with how they build them, I guess. If I just do it like this. Actually, no, I'm doing this backwards again, because I think I only want the lower levels of this to have sluices and say... Well, I don't know. Flows above downstream depth. Kinda wish it was an open if downstream depth is too low, instead of close above. Guess I'll just have all of these be closed. Well, actually, I can set all these settings on, but we'll just automatically close them ourselves. And then we want these to close if the downstream depth reaches a certain height. Although it never will, because the highest the water will go is down here. So these are really only meant to close because of the contamination. We'll set these all the same. Auto open, auto open. Oops. Auto open, auto open. And then these sliders don't really matter that much, I guess. Because they won't be set. Okay. Something like that. And then on this row, well, I guess that's just it. I don't want this to drop water from the top. I think I want this row to actually be levees. I don't know. I don't have an actual plan. I just know that I want some of the water to come out of this side some of the time, and then come out of the front when the side is empty, if that makes sense, or, you know, full. Trial by fire, I guess. I need to just kind of build something and commit to it. I just don't want all the water to be coming out this way, I guess. So maybe in an act of... I do want the water to come out this way if it's contaminated. That's like the only time I want a lot of water coming out this way. So... levees on the top? Sluices on the top. Should probably do sluices on the top just so that the contaminated water can be dealt with. We'll see if this works out or not. It'll probably take a while to be built. Hopefully nothing floods or... oh hey, look, something's flooding already. gonna say hopefully nothing floods or gets too damaged while we wait. This should help stabilize this a bit, or a lot, or completely. We'll see. In the other areas, the way that dams work is at 0.65, so maybe 265 is the magic number here, if the water's coming out of here enough to maintain that height. I think we're going to start seeing drawing back here if this isn't being shared consistently. One thing that I did was I installed stream gauges to see what the heights of things are. So this is 0.64 deep. This is 0.68 deep. It's a pretty good split, about the same. And then over here, I guess I could have a gauge, maybe at the farthest end, where I'm not. Am I planting anything? Maybe I can't. Maybe it's too contaminated. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like this is too contaminated to plant at. Maybe we could put a gauge over here somewhere. Looks like they can install it from up there. And once that's installed, we can see what the height of the water is there. And we'll just try to keep them all about the same height. 0.6 something. Perfect. 0.64. So with this set to 2.65, I was just saying these set a certain way, but they're not even put together just yet. We'll figure out what the what a spread that makes sense here is, and we'll go from there. While we wait, we should consider getting into explosives. And I guess a wood workshop, because we've never made treated planks before. Our pine resin is over here somewhere. I think it's over in the corner here. This is set to supply other warehouses. I don't know what other warehouse I have. I think it was somewhere across the water there. I'm searching. I'm squinting. You know what we could do is we could just look in the menus for it. Storage. Looking for... I don't know if they'll be grouped together or not. Oh yeah, what would it be? Not a tank. Oh, it's a warehouse, a medium warehouse. We're looking for... What's that called? Pine tar? Pine resin. Well, here's one. That's the one we already saw. Do I have a second pine resin somewhere? I think I intended to, wherever I made the meat processing plant. The wood processing plant. So in our wood menu, how big is the wood workshop? It's as big as the smelter is. So 3 deep. Suppose I could replace something that's over here with one of those. Maybe one of our gear workshops. Scrap that and we'll put the wood workshop in here instead. Now, how long does this take to make what it makes? I guess we'll find out. You can see our gears being used right here. Now, one thing I did was I unlocked underground storage for things, so we can actually start condensing some of our storage together here, because we can hold 1,000 of a resource in one place as opposed to only 180. So if I destroy where our planks and other wood are, we can actually start putting other things in the ground. So you'll see we have 2,000 wood across the map. And then for our other resources, we have almost 1,000 planks, 500 scrap metal, and then everything else is in the 100 or 200. So I think ideally we would put scrap metal and planks in here alongside another piece of wood. So I'm just going to go to demolish. We'll hit all 3 of these. It says we're going to drop all of our goods on the ground, and that is something I am a-okay with. And then we'll use some of our resources to make more underground storage for wood and planks and scrap metal. So because we're storing those things primarily in here, some of that storage can go away from up here because it's still kind of close to the workshops, just not really as close as it's been so far. Maybe over here we can turn some of these into underground storage for the metal pieces as well. So we'll set this to, we'll set all these, I guess, to obtain goods from other warehouses. We'll set all of these to obtain goods from other warehouses. I think they may already be set to do that. And then these should be used to supply, used to supply. Mostly had these here for all the construction we were doing and are doing up here. And it looks like we already have another area that wood is being used for. This is where most of our wood is coming from, actually, so we can do the same thing. I'll actually set these to be emptied, and then once this underground pile is built, which is now built, this will start getting filled up with wood. And same with our plank production and stuff. The reason we're doing this is to make room for other resources, so like out here we can make an underground source for wood specifically. Just because that's where most of our wood is coming from. And then if we ever continue getting metal, like from this mine out here, we can maybe set a place for metal to come from as well. And actually I'm realizing I should be able to just destroy these without having to worry about setting them to be emptied, because their goods will just come and be picked up anyway. Logs, please. Our paper mill is seemingly struggling to make books. Or rather, our printing press is struggling to make books. I don't know if that's just because we haven't been storing more than 12 books, or what the deal is, but books are used for boosting the wellness of beavers, so we should maybe consider storing some books. Now we can make large warehouses now as well, and these are basically just 3x3 boxes instead of the 3x2 boxes that we've been using. So anything that's kind of stacked on top of itself can be replaced by a large warehouse. It holds 1,200 of something instead of only 200. So for example, our crackers and our bread and everything, we can replace all of these with the 3x3 structures. So I am going to do that. I'm just going to draw a nice big line, drop everything on the ground, and then under storage, we'll do large warehouse, slap one there, there, and here. But it requires that I get rid of this one little tiny piece of path. And I had it facing this row for some reason. But in order, we had the maple treats. This, I think, was the cattail crackers, the middle one. Basically just matching whatever they're in front of. And then this was bread. Which, again, I'm not really sure why I had this turned. Maybe I shouldn't have it turned. Maybe we'll just have it facing where it's coming from. Bread. And then we'll just make sure that there's appropriate pathing everywhere. Which means in front of the door, door, and door. I think a lot of that pathing was for the stairs we no longer need. See, similar effects over here. We have a lot of individual storage spaces for wheat and stuff. So we can go ahead and clear all these out too and replace them with large warehouses. It is pretty resource heavy, 80 planks and stuff, but we've got the resources, I think, to accommodate this, even though we've only got 312 planks left. We're going to be producing a lot more here soon. So maybe we'll be hurting for planks in the short term, but that's okay. All in the effort of better storage. So this is cattail wheat and normal wheat. Keep that in mind. Base it here. We'll do cattail flour. I said cattail wheat. It's cattail flour and a wheat flour. And then here's where all of our wheat's been going. Then all of our paper. I think I'll change one of these to hold books. And destroy each of these. And we'll just move our wheat across the way here into a large warehouse. Set this to be wheat. And then that actually clears some more room up if we wanted to place another building over here, which I am not sure that I want to do. But it looks like we can combine some more buildings. Maybe in this section where I just said we might not do that, or elsewhere. This is all connected to the same power network. Now we could also make large tanks, but I honestly think with the medium tanks we are pretty well set. We've got more than enough room for all the water we're not using. And I think ideally we'd actually start putting some large water pumps out. But of course we need storage for our wood that we're now finishing, so this building right here already has, or this building right here already has 10 of the treated planks. I think it would be best if we made some room for them on this barge that we have. Just because we're storing everything else kind of in town here. So one thing I think we need the least of is probably this large pile of scrap metal. We'll go ahead and get the scrap metal cleaned out and we'll put the treated planks in here. We'll watch as this gets drained by our haulers. 2 beavers with nothing to do in range, because again, these are all filled up. Oh, and also they can't reach the next set of metal. I think that's the primary restricting factor here. So we'll get a staircase built for them to get moved up there. Once that's tapped, we can start heading over here, I guess. Clearing from this area down here and this area up here. I'd actually maybe change this flag out for a metal heading flag. Looks like this water level's managed now. So these pumps should be doing nothing. This is kind of like in case of emergency. And then this building is only to fill if, or this building is rather only meant to fill if this starts evaporating. Okay. So, we've managed to organize some of our storage. We have a new aquatic farm that should be prioritizing cattails and spatter docks, respectively. Oh no, we have a drought approaching. So thankfully this dam should prevent this from drying out. And everything else should really prevent the water from drying out, because everything is containing everything. At least up to a certain point. I think we're in good shape for pretty much any weather event now. It's very exciting. Guess we'll prioritize the staircase here. I should also maybe build up to this area here, so that we can maybe put down some badwater gathering materials. So on the water menu, for example, we can use badwater pumps in order to harvest badwater. And these are pumping straight from the bad water source, so they should never actually run out, which is pretty neat. If I put down some platforms here, we can kind of even out where those are pulling from. Now, unfortunately, there are no large bad water pumps, so we can only really work with what we have. And then those, I guess, can be where we use our first ever large tank. Might as well. We've got 16,422 science points, so we might as well start unlocking things. 30 pieces of metal, though. Feels like a lot. Also, 80 planks feels like a lot. Oh well. We'll be able to accommodate it. Holds 12,000 of a resource. And this will be where all of our bad, toxic water will come from. And we'll just path like this, I guess. The stairs can come up platforms such as this. Everything will get connected together. What else can we do with bad water right away? Maybe in this area. Let's find out. We can gather some power here, because the water's all funneling through here. Not sure how fast this is, but we can go ahead and in our power menu, we can consider a water wheel or two in here. See how many we can fit. Can we fit 3? Darn, looks like we won't be able to fit 3. But with that, we can power some water management pieces. Pumps water or bad water up on one side and discharges them on the other. More efficient than a regular pump. This isn't very big. And I also don't know how you would use something like this. I guess it's block to block. I don't have any examples where this would be useful. The centrifuge lets you turn bad water into a usable extract, it says. And then we can actually cap off the bad water. Or we can seal it in order to take from it. I don't really see a reason to do that, especially when we can pull the water directly. Now we have a drought starting. Without touching anything, I want to see what the effects of the drought are. And I think that's exactly what we're doing. We're seeing that the effect of the drought is basically nothing. See how long that stays the case for. We've got 6 whole days to see through, but I think we're about there. So out of all the things that we could be using here, I think the only one I'm personally interested in is the centrifuge. And I'm realizing a little bit too late here that I think I'd be better off with this back a little bit. So we'll place another platform in the corner here. Sorry for all the camera movement. I'm struggling to manage to reach things. And then we'll get our big water storage in line with everything. Plop a path to connect it, and then I wanted to build around it too. A centrifuge. 600 points. We pause this, we should be able to build these power sources first. And then I'd like to connect them with power. Actually, I guess I should do that before I place the centrifuge, because then I can run the power behind this bad water tank. And the resource for that will have to be captured somewhere too. So we'll have to figure out where we can put another tank. Actually, if I set these roads back a bit farther, that should cover that. So we'll see if I demolish this road. We can connect paths just in front of all the buildings. And then this little corner I can put a small or a medium tank of... Actually, maybe the badwater should go in the tank. And then the big tank should be the extract. Let's try that on for size. Because I want to produce as much of this extract as possible. So they'll constantly top off this. This will feed right into this machine, and then the machine will store everything in here. We'll connect up our power sources. We can just use normal power shafts because this is on solid ground. And then we'll set up a centrifuge facing the road. And then every hour they'll take 4 of this and turn it into 1 of this. And then all of these will constantly fill that. I think this is a wonderful little setup for all of our badwater stuff. I do want to start getting into large water pumps, but it looks like we're going to be needing some more resources for that. Storage-wise, it looks like we might be limited on gears if we don't get more boxes ready to hold gears, other than this one that's just on the barge here. So what we could do is destroy this and just build some platforms behind it so that we can build a large resource center for gears here. Oops. Large warehouse. There we go. Gears. We'll prioritize this so we can continue making gears. See all these little water sources that are empty. Don't have any water in them. I'll go ahead and delete all of these now, I think. And the reason for that is because I want to start putting decorations and stuff throughout the town in order to help the beavers feel good when they're working and doing various things. So we'll worry about all that later, I guess. This has been another successful episode. I feel really good about the things that we've been accomplishing ever since the big blow up a handful of episodes ago. And I feel very, very good about our water management, because would you believe me if I told you there was a drought happening right now? We even have water stored in each of these little ponds and puddles. But there's absolutely nothing to be worried about. And that is very exciting. Now we'll see if things dry out in the next 4 days. I mean, this is looking rather low, maybe. And this is starting to look pretty low. Thankfully, that's what the gauges are for. Depth 0.49. Ah, maybe there's nothing to worry about. Ooh, this says that our main water source is at 0.27, 0.26, and maybe dropping. So we might have to start releasing some of the water from up here. But we've got more than enough water to go around. So, not a huge concern, I think. It says these buildings are unconnected because I forgot to connect them to the pathway. We're almost going to get this area up and running right away too, which is exciting. Injured beavers. We've run out of chestnuts to grill. That makes sense. We don't really have too many chestnut trees. Suppose we could make some. We got some chestnut trees here that are getting chopped, but I guess we could expand our chestnut tree area out a bit. We don't really need as much wheat as we've been making. I could just grow chestnut trees behind here, really. But see how we end up using this space. Actually, no, we won't, because I think I'm absolutely fine with putting some chestnuts here. That's what we'll do. We will plant some trees, plant some chestnut trees. We'll just fill this entire little nook with harvestable chestnut trees. Anyway, I guess that'll do it for this video, just given everything that we've done and how long it's been. So, if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching. I've been Teeter, this has been Timberborn. If you enjoy content like this, please feel free to check out the rest of the content on my channel, where we play games like Timberborn and many others all the time, and come on by our Twitch and YouTube streams where you'll find me playing any game under the sun, just about. I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you take care. Bye now.